In a calculated scheme to sow distrust between two powerful factions, a cunning Skaven warlord orchestrates a string of brutal nighttime raids on remote Reikland settlements. The attacks are swift and surgical: burned buildings, stolen supplies, mutilated livestock, and most damningly, traces of Asur weaponry and sigils left at the scenes. The Empire, already stretched thin dealing with beastmen and internal squabbles, begins to suspect the High Elves of subversive aggression. Some nobles call for a cessation of diplomatic trade. Reiksguard patrols are increased, and accusations fly within the Imperial Court. Unbeknownst to the High Elves hot on the trail of a Skaven war party on the outskirts of Reikland, a small Empire force is moving to intercept them, believing them to be responsible for the many raids in the area. Upon sighting the High Elf host, the Empire immediately form a battle line. There will be no parley. These raiders will be vanquished from the Reikland, shouts the captain of the Empire. Both the prince on his dragon and the phoenix soar into the sky. The prince lands his dragon on the left flank whilst the phoenix glides towards the center of the Empire lines. The bolt thrower's shots bounced harmlessly off the steam tank's hull. Now Reikland would reply with black powder. First the steam tank rumbled in front of the hill. The battle wagon surged forward. The spearmen on the far side of the battlefield marched forward, whilst the captain and his swordsmen inched forward, surveying the troops in front. The Reiksguard knights also moved up, a little cautious of the dragon looming ahead. Then the roar of gunpowder weapons erupted as the steam tank fired its cannon at the dragon, inflicting a single wound on the behemoth. The handgunners fired at the dragon as well, inflicting another wound. Finally, the Hellblaster poured all of its many shots into the phoenix, inflict a wound on the mystical creature. The Frostheart Phoenix, wings glittering with hoarfrost and eyes burning with elemental rage, dove from the heavens like a spear of ice. It crashed down with the fury of a winter storm, talons screaming against steel, its wings sweeping snow and ash into the air. The very ground trembled as the two forces collided, magic and fire against metal and steam. With a shriek like a hunting horn blown through shattered glass, the great eagle ascended at terrifying speed. The spearmen barely had time to react. Wreathed in wind and flame, a high elf prince rode atop a gleaming red dragon, his silver armor radiant in the fading light. His sword crackled with magical energy, and his sapphire cloak snapped in the storm-born wind as the dragon descended, wings spread wide, maw glowing with fire. With the fury of a falling star, the dragon slammed into the front of the Empire Knights. The impact was cataclysmic. The other eagle followed suit and dived down on the mortar crew, tearing them apart with its razor-sharp beak and talons. The combined might of the prince and his dragon was so ferocious that when the dust settled, only one knight remained, causing 2 wounds in return, but it was not enough, and the lone knight fled. In the center of the battlefield, metal and gunpowder clashed with magic and mystical creature as the phoenix failed to harm the steam tank, but taking a wound from the tank in the process. The eagle fighting the spearmen killed 3, taking no damage itself, forcing the state troops to fall back in good order. Somehow the lone knight found his courage and rallied to tactically withdraw away from the dragon. The captain and state troops moved up alongside the spearmen as the battle wagon continued to career forward towards the high elf archers accompanied by the mage. The Hellblaster exploded, with sound triple-barreled death erupting in a storm of steel. Dozens of shots tore through the arena, scatter so wide and savage that the very clouds seemed to shudder. The great eagle, twisted mid-flight, struck full in the chest and wing. Feathers flew in great clumps, blood painted the sky in arcs. Its scream cut through the chaos, no longer noble. The handgunners once again opened fire on the dragon, but their shots bounced off the dragon's impenetrable scales. The battle wagon felled 2 swordmasters with their gunpowder weapons. In the combat phase, the steam tank and the Phoenix continued to slog it out. This time, the Phoenix ripped part of the tank to shreds, scoring 2 wounds with no reply. By starlight paths and moonlit veils, let the earth forget our step. The spell slipped from the mage lips like silver mist. Arcane runes ignited along the shaft of his staff, glowing with the cold light of distant stars. His archers stood silent, unmoving, eyes half-lidded, veterans of centuries who had walked with mages into a ring of translucent energy spread outward like a ripple on a still pond. Around them, the world seemed to blur. The ground faded, the sky darkened, and then they appeared as wraith-like figures. The great eagle who had just dispatched the mortar turned its attention to the handgunners, dispatching 2 of their number with its claws. The mage's archers rained arrows down on the Hellblaster, skewering one of the crew. The dragon flew atop the hill and unleashed a torrent of flame on the lone knight. Miraculously, the knight somehow survived. The bolt thrower and the other unit of archers rained arrows and bolts down on the battle wagon, but only the bolt thrower managed to take off a wound. Again, metal and gunpowder crashed against magic and mystical creature, but neither side managed to cause a wound. Without causing any damage to the eagle, the handgunners fell back in good order. They once again fired into the swordmasters, reducing the unit to 3 elves. The captain ordered his state troops to wheel to face the flank of the Phoenix. The spearmen moved up cautiously, and the handgunners once again fired at the dragon, failing to harm it once again. Once again, the Phoenix and the steam tank clashed, failing to harm each other. The prince stood in the stirrups of the saddle, blade raised high, shouting a command in a tongue that rolled like thunder through the sky. The dragon roared not in rage, but in certainty, as if it already knew the outcome. Then they fell from the sky like a flaming spear. With the battle wagon looming ahead, the mage in his infinite wisdom once again cast Walk Between Worlds. The mage's archers and the bolt thrower both fired at the battle wagon, this time failing to do any damage. The other unit of archers picked off a handgunner. Steel meets flame, discipline meets fury, the skies and earth collide, as both the prince and the dragon slaughter many of the spearmen, taking no damage. In return, the state troops hold their nerve and fall back in good order. The combat between the Phoenix and Steam tank is more eventful this turn as the Phoenix is reduced to 1 wound and the tank to 6. In an attempt to protect the Hellblaster, the knight charges the Great Eagle, but he is no match for the bird and falls. The captain and his state troops charge the Phoenix as it tears through 3 of the tanks. Wounds. Luckily, neither the tank or the captain and his spearmen are able to wound it back. A thunderous report echoes across the field as the battle wagon's gunners let loose. One elven crewman drops instantly, the shot piercing his ornate chest plate. The archers on the left flank rained arrows down on the handgunners, killing enough to force them to flee off the table. To protect himself and the archers, the mage again cast Walk Between Worlds. Wuxia bolt screamed through the air. Seconds later it smashed through the frame of the wagon, decapitating one of the crew. The archers on the right flank also fired at the wagon, but those that hit only impaled on the frame. With a thunderous cry, the dragon dove, flames spewing from its maw, turning shields to slag and men to ash. The prince, blade drawn, struck like a god of war, cutting through the chaos with fiery vengeance, wiping out the remainder of the spearmen. The Phoenix slammed into the tank with all the wrath of the heavens, its frozen body searing with cold instead of heat, warping armor plates with sudden frostbite, shattering rivets beneath the pressure of its glacial impact. The tank reeled, its outer shell coated in rime and jagged icicles. For a moment it was engulfed in a blizzard of ice and snow, a whiteout born not of weather but of will. Then silence, and the Phoenix gone. Its body lay broken across the tank's warped hull. Swordsman to me, form up, shields front, blades out, tighten the line. You're not dead yet, and they haven't won. The captain stood tall, his blade raised high, reforming the Reiklanders to face the elf commander and his fearsome dragon. With a deafening roar, the steam cannon discharged, a thundercrack of steam and steel. The shell screamed through the air, trailing smoke as it cut a path across the sky. Trees cracked, birds scattered in panic, and then impact, but not where it was meant to land. The shell slammed into an empty patch of earth. The dragon landed softly like a falling snowflake despite its massive size. Dust billowed, but no fire came. Not yet, human. You have fought bravely, foolishly perhaps, but bravely. Few reach this place with their soul intact. I offer you one chance. Withdraw. Live, the prince commanded.